Hello and welcome. Today is Tuesday, 8th day of August, 2017. Welcome to the cryptocurrency update for this evening. My name is Derek, and let's start off within the Bitcoin charts. Everything stated in here is based on how I read the charts, what I'm doing, what I think's gonna do. Anything you basically decide to do is your own risk and your own reward. As I'm trying to give insight, education, and if need be, maybe some entertainment. Although, quite frankly, I mean, this is as boring as going to school. But you know what? You can learn a lot. That's what I think anyway. All right, so then we had several days and even weeks within this sideways consolidation. The market message has changed to that of breakout, new leg, all-time highs, of course, in that situation. The first breakout day was a very noticeable large green candle up day, followed by a pause day where price action wasn't able to reach the previous day's highs, but it didn't sell off too much from the monstrous previous day's rally, which followed through on Monday with an up day where it broke past the previous day's resistance, making this all-time highs. And today's session, it's another pause day. Price action not much higher than it was before. It's only up about 0.3%. That's the equivalency of the stock market going up about 0.1%. It's just barely up at all. However, higher low from yesterday, basically finding support at this resistance. Oh, we'll shorten the time frame out in a moment, but that's where it's finding support, barely making a higher high. So the message of this market, it seems to me, and we'll see it but more clearly on the shorter term time frame, is this is most likely to have do what silver kind of does in its bull markets, where it just grinds its way higher, do what the stock market does. I think something looking similar to this, where it's going to be about $50, $60, $100 up per day. Maybe you might get a $20, $30, $40, $50 down day. I think we're going to see something like that. Just because that's what I think doesn't mean that's how it's going to transpire, but I'll show you why I think such now. And this is within the 2-hour time frame now. And of course, since this move higher and the establishment of this resistance point, you're getting the traditional standard up a little bit, barely breaking resistance, fighting some good price corrections, but maintaining the upper trend. And within such, on the break of this resistance in here, it had a move to this leg higher, another small amount of correction within this band, 4 periods. And then on the break, it barely makes a new high. Now, it's had a little bit of congestion. It's been 6 periods now within this 18 average. Within such, support found at 3,300, which was an area that was resistance within its previous range on the end of the 5th into the 6th of this month. So previous resistance now becoming support, maintaining this upper band is still in play. Since it came up to here a couple periods ago, it consolidated that period with a pause, couple hour-ish, so time frame, starting to sell off a little bit, maintaining its uptrend still. But if you have a situation like this, you're usually going to see movements that may take a while, but keep the trend alive. So I'd be pretty, I'm not going to say pretty sure, but pretty confident that we're going to have this low hold before another leg higher above 35. Thus, any retracements will have a higher low. Again, this is just something that I think this is going to grind its way to the upside. So lots of different time corrections is part of what you get within that pattern. And let me just see if I can give you an example on a silver chart very quickly. And I didn't see what I was looking for on the silver chart, but basically the pattern is just like this. This is the type of movement within the volatility you would expect the market. So different type of movements, but in this nature. But as I'm looking at this Dow, and I've been meaning to do a video stating 23,000 is the area I think it could be an interesting point. But I'm just looking at this now for the first time, and I don't know if they're just starting to count volume on this and it never was counted before. I'm sure it doesn't mean much. As I'll look at this now actually on a different, just get confirmation if this volume meant anything. And the answer, it's nothing, because I put in the ETF fund and it's got its standard volatility. But yeah, 23,000, I'll talk about that later on. It could be an interesting topping area. Now let's move back to Bitcoin quickly again. And we'll finish off with the weekly. And I want to talk a little bit about when I like to buy things. Just on the basic one, when things are down a lot, Fibonacci and decent move from the leg. So any type of 38.2, 61.8s that I like. But what's important is when you have, say, in this case, you have this low and you're like, okay, want to make a lower low? Probably maybe somewhere put around, probably around here maybe. But as far as my trading is concerned, if I have a buy order, say here, because I feel that's where the lower low from here should be, then you would see I would miss it and it would rally. And it's pretty darn near close that I'd want to reduce it. So if I didn't see it, didn't reduce it, I'd end up buying right here. But I probably would have a buy order somewhere around here after, or even maybe a little bit closer or lower from where it was because of this low. So that's one different area in which I like to be a buyer. The second one is when you have a correction after you don't want to be a buyer, meaning, I mean, buying in here, it's decently above this resistance. So when it's a decent amount higher, I really don't want to buy. The coin formerly known as ant shares, when it was going up like a insert adjective or whatever to describe its move, like so many times higher over a 4-day period many weeks ago, I wasn't buying at all because I wanted to wait for one of the two things I like to buy on. One, a correction. Anything decently priced lower. If you see some anything lower like this, you can see a move to the 18 average of lows. There's another spot, any kind of previous resistance. And normally the resistance will match up within the 18 average of lows. But when things go haywire, well, now you don't expect sometimes to have that big of a correction. And if you're dealing with levels never seen before, you got no previous where were you before. Now, granted, short term, this level was the key area, so it did do that. But you got an area like this, you're like, if it goes much higher, maybe if you want to look for a price correction, wait for a hit to the 18 of lows. That's one area I think is as far as just trying to not buy so high. Then when you see any movements of it leaving the band. So you can do it before it breaks resistance because it's cheaper than breaking resistance. And if you're expecting that it's going to make a move higher, then it's going to work out. Now your risk is that you buy like it's somewhere like around here when you make your classic lower high from the next move. That happened in June with some altcoins. That happened to me a few times. So you win some, you lose some, but you win more than you lose, at least ROI is concerned. And now all of a sudden, that's one spot. Then you got breaking resistance, which is pretty much where it stands. Only thing is, how long can I say it's no longer good? Like here, you're breaking resistance. Okay, yeah, go ahead and buy. And then here, but at some point you're like, oh man, now it's getting up too much, you don't buy. So when is that up too much? And for me, if I was looking to get into Bitcoin, this is something I didn't have and I wanted to be a buyer, then yeah, I'd probably speculate a little bit. Or if I was looking for just the play, the bet, I am betting that this thing is going to say 4,200, thus where I'll place a sell order. And then you decide, well, how are you going to handle risk if you're wrong? You're going to sell it here, 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 and so be it. I know that's what stop orders are for, but that's, again, one way of playing it. And if you want to build a position, okay, I'm going to buy a bit here. Now you put a buy order here, buy order here, buy order here. Just different mechanisms when you're playing the charts. But most likely when you break a key level, you expect a decent leg higher. And right now, that's nowhere near a decent leg higher. Next up, the video done earlier today, no limit coin. NLC2, basically, I think it's the opposite of a troll invasion, because opposite of what trolls are, meaning a whole bunch of people from one spot coming in at one time, all of them putting comments, thumbsing up my video, and thumbing up other comments. Very, very beautiful, which can only have come from a Slack group of NLC2. I have been invited to the Slack group, but I don't care which cryptocurrency it is. I have no intention whatsoever about playing in the Slack, participating within the Slack community. I probably should, just for information purposes alone, at least be not really a troll, but a lurker. I know there's a lot of lurkers on this page, and I don't blame you. It helps your portfolio, and its information I think is really good. Elvis, Woot, NLC, can't wait to play some fantasy sports with some friends. Okay, why is that not... Anyway, I can't wait to play some... fantasy football is something in which... I participate in quite a bit. I know a lot of strategy about it. I even paid a little bit for some computer programming to be done, so I can run mathematical data analyzation, or at least confirm what I figured I knew was going to be the case. But if I was going to make serious investments, and I had a web page, thus post information on the page at the time, then I decided it would be a good thing to do. Now, here's the problem. I made a web page in the autumn of 2015, and it only lasted for a few months. And the reason for that was, pretty much as I was starting the fantasy football page, I realized that this thing is not working out. The industry is going bad. I'm part of the reason why it's going bad. And I'm probably not going to continue doing it, but I didn't stop at that time. The reason why that was the case, well, first of all, the industry was bad because it was shutting many states. And even for different places, I got banned from, I think, one fantasy site where I was forced to withdraw my funds, as they banned all Canadians. Now, that was going on within the industry, not good news at all within such, but it was even worse than that, as far as me saying I was part of it, as the education and the daily fantasy information and how it was set up on different internet sites and other YouTube channels, people doing what I was doing, was totally changing how the games were being played compared to the 2013 and 2014 seasons. And it was not for the better. It got extremely hard, and the rake for the games, which are the fees that you pay, were getting out of hand as well. So this was making it so that with extreme rake, what you're going to get with these professional players, it's going to hurt a lot of people on a financial level. So therefore, you're going to see a lot of people whom are going to drown their way out because they no longer can afford to play the games. And a lot of that was going on as well. Last season, I decided I had no choice but to play fantasy football because of the fact that it was too mathematically profitable for me not to play the preseason football. So I made a deposit at the start of the year, and I played preseason football. Of course, there was the situation of a blackout on the opening day, which, technically speaking, considering I was aware of the situation, was a very profitable thing, although it didn't work out too well. I didn't get much of a return that week. I think I made like 20, 30, 40% when I was expecting to make 6, 7, 800, 900%, but it didn't work as I wanted it to. I have an amazing preseason football strategy. Drop me a line if you are interested, and I can get that to you for this year's preseason football, but I'm not participating this year. I'm totally not on FanDuel, not on DraftKings. And what happened as the season was getting started, they had these promos going into like late August and into September, and because of a weird glitch on their end, they kind of screwed me out of a decent amount of poker points. Or I guess I'm used to poker points in that game, but for, let's say, call them what poker stars used to call their points back in the days, FPPs, frequent player points, I think it was called. And there was a promo to get a whole bunch of them, so I acted up to it, and they kind of underpaid me what I wanted to. So I sent an email stating it. They didn't reply back to me within 24 hours. I withdrew all my funds out. They got back to me an hour later, gave me the credits. I'm like, that's it. I'm done with fantasy. And I haven't played since. And because of the rake problems, then that just totally destroyed it. Now we're in a situation where it's a different kind of community. I want to know more about this, especially because I own NLC now, because I'm pretty good at fantasy sports. So that's something for me to research. Now, as far as the rest of these comments are concerned, they all came around the same time. Definitely, you can tell that this came from the community, and thank you so much for all of this. This is so amazing, because not only did somebody say, hey, you got to check this video out, which in itself is great, but when they come on here, they tell me they were here with all of these great comments, and they thumbs up. Look at these comments we have. 4 or 5, 4 or 5. 4. I mean, they're the same people doing it, but it's just magnificent to see. Of course, the newer ones don't have them. But it's great to see this happening. This was the first comment that was, I'm guessing Spread Love is one of my subscribers. And any one of these new people that have subscribed to my channel, thank you so much for doing so. Greatly appreciated. And I've really got into a ramble, so I'm going to title this basically Bitcoin and daily fantasy sports. Maybe I'll attract a few people on the comments looking at daily fantasy football. That'd be cool. Hey, if you did, Bitcoin, it's an interesting new thing with blockchain technology, and it is basically the design of the no third-party decentralized ledger-based transaction system that is pretty darn near interesting, as stated by, I think it's Bill Gates, that it's out of control in the sense nothing's going to stop it. He didn't say it's out of control, but there's basically nothing that can stop it from doing its thing and basically continuing its uprise. And well, Bill Gates would know a thing or two about that technology. All right then, so Bitcoin update, and then third NLC2. I wasn't planning on doing a third one, but the comments, thank you. Take care.